good, everybody? Welcome into the Early Wedge. I, of course, am the coach. It's part of the Early Edge universe, and I encourage all of you to do what Taylor is doing right now. He says, afternoon, Early Edge fam. Going to sit in the back of the classroom and take my notes because that's exactly what you do right here on the Early Wedge. We're getting ready for the Memorial. It's a designated event. That means all the big boys are going to show up this week. The top 5 in the world golf rankings all will be here at Jack's Place. It's 120 players. Let's go ahead and take a look at the odds provided by our good friends over at Caesar Sportsbook and Casino. And in a word, they're disgusting. What do I mean by that? And we'll ask the counselor and Patrick in a second. But they're making it so you almost can't bet on a favorite. That's how low these numbers are. Scottie Scheffler, Jon Rahm, both below plus 800. That's ridiculous. Ridiculous. But we will shake it all down. We've got you covered from top to bottom, left to right. With all that being said, let's bring in the stars of the show. You know him. You love him. Counselor. See you, Nejad. Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Very excited for the Memorial. We got a couple more majors coming up, too. We are in the heart of this season. I can't wait to get after it.
I just did my travel today for the Rocket Mortgage and for the Tour Championship, and I am fired up for the next 2.5 months. Patrick McDonald, are you fired up, sir?
Oh, yeah. Can't you hear it in my voice, Coach? Come on. You can feel it in the air. The Memorial is one of my favorite tournaments every season. I think this one in the LA Open, the Genesis, are kind of top of my board. And, yeah, I'm excited. 120 players. You said the big names were out. I had to come back on the show, get EC out of here, and ready to fire up some winners.
Brother, that last thing you just said, that's exactly the number one reason I'm glad you're back this week. No EC show this week, not at all. Somebody sent me a video on Twitter, and anybody that knows the Memorial will know and laugh at this. Basically, it was a bunch of highlights from the Memorial with the song, "The Milkshakes Bring All the Boys to the Yard." And I was like, very apropos. If you know the Memorial, they're all about the milkshakes at this tournament. But who's going to raise the trophy? Well, we're about to talk about it. Storylines that could affect the betting lines today. And see, we're going to start with you. Because last week, I don't know that I've seen Scottie Scheffler play worse. And he ended up top 5, one back of the playoff. And he had a hole-in-one on Sunday. Yes, but he's not technically having his A game right now. Start us off.
Well, the A game exists from tee to green, but once you get on the greens, it's just been a problem for Scottie Scheffler. It's why I faded him a couple weeks ago, and I had that showdown with Patrick McDonald, which I lost. I had Rahm in that case, and it's just really interesting because we know Scottie Scheffler is going to bring it. What's really cool about Scottie Scheffler, though, is if his putter is bad, he's still going to T12 or T7 or T4 or whatever the case may be. So I'm just very curious to see if Scottie Scheffler can rebound with the putter, because if he does, he has been so good tee to green that I don't see how he doesn't win this tournament if the putter is clicking.
I love it when I read in the chat as you're giving us a great in-depth take on Scottie Scheffler. So many positive. Japan says, watching while I'm on the clock. Let's go. I love it. Capper says, I'm going to watch this at least a couple of extra times. Let's go. Now, Patrick, if Scottie Scheffler can get his game back, he is certainly going to be one of the favorites as we head into the year's third major, and that, of course, is the U.S. Open. This is kind of like the final prep if you're talking about guys and designated events. You're up.
Yeah, it's a quick sprint here, kind of from the PGA Championship to the Open Championship. Rory McIlroy said something in Rochester, kind of how it's a double-edged sword. If you have your form, you could probably rattle off a couple of these major championships. We've seen it with Brooks Koepka at the Masters and the PGA, a couple good starts. And like Sia said, what if Scottie Scheffler finds his putter this week? All signs point to a tear in his near future with the way he's playing from tee to green. If he finds some form on the greens, it could be game over for the rest of the PGA Tour. But it's a lot of these guys' last tournament until the U.S. Open in a couple of weeks. You think Jon Rahm, he had a bit of a dud there at the PGA Championship. He returns to Muirfield Village. Of course, that's been very kind to him. Patrick Cantlay's in the same boat, won here a couple times. Colin Morikawa, Xander Schauffele. And with Scheffler and Rahm, winning a majority of these designated events, along with Tony Finau and Max Homa being multiple-time winners, a ton of big names have yet to win this season. You think Justin Thomas, Jordan Spieth, Cameron Young, Sung Jae Im, Xander, Cantlay. So it is their final prep for the U.S. Open, but at the same time, all these guys are itching to get into the winner's circle.
It certainly is. It's the game within the game that we all love, to get to handicap the sport and that we love the sport. But let's not forget, for those who may forget what happened during COVID, remember Jon Rahm? One of Cantlay's wins was because of Jon Rahm, who had a 6-shot lead after Saturday, walks off the green, and they tell him he's got COVID. He still counts this event as one of his victories. If you ask him, he won this.
He should.
He should. There's no way he was going to lose by 6.
0%.
Now, with that being said, though, Counselor, the last time that the odds were like this, and Patrick was on Scheffler and I was on Rahm, I had to pay on Thursday afternoon. So with all that being said, it was ugly. We may have to revisit that later today. That's all I'm saying. Now, you guys know at home that we love to take care of you as well. We've got an issue in the chat before we get to DFS. Zach says, I was hoping to go to the tournament, but my sister-in-law's baby shower is on Sunday. Zach, first and foremost, she's a sister-in-law. She's not your sister. So you don't technically have to. Your brother's going to be fine with it if you went to the memorial and then didn't go to the – I've never even heard of a man going to the baby shower. Does the man go to the baby shower?
I mean, sometimes that's a thing, but I mean, you hit it on the head with the in-law part of this. I mean, that's a built-in out. Zach, I can represent you as counsel, C. Nejad Esquire, at your service. I don't think you have to go to that. By the way, it's a 4-day event, so you can go Saturday, Friday, or Thursday. But Zach, I think you need to duck out of this one. If you need me to write you a letter, make a phone call, I'm going to do it for you.
Whenever the counselor's involved, there's always a way out, Zach. You know this. You know this. Now, I know that, was it last week or the week before, Sia, that you came down literally, you were going to win thousands and thousands of dollars in DFS. And then something went wrong. What was it?
I think it was 3 weeks ago at the Wells Fargo. I got to be honest with you. It was Scottie Scheffler. It was Scottie Scheffler's putter. That's exactly what it was. He was the only guy in my 6-man lineup that actually struggled on Saturday and Sunday. I had, the likes of Carson Young and some of those lesser names, and Scottie just couldn't get it together. He finished fine, but he couldn't get it together. And my lineup ended up finishing T10 in about 1,000-person kind of big money contest, but really should have been top 3 at least.
Why do I remember that, but you don't remember that?
That's a great question.
Great question. But it leads into our next segment, brilliantly, I might add, for DFS. So we give you 3 that we like this week. Now, we may give you a fade that doesn't make a lot of sense, but my guys will explain it to you. It's all about dollars and cents when we're talking DFS. Counselor, start us off.
By the way, I saw a comment from Capper Taylor, and this is actually a DFS relevant comment that I'm about to make. He said, I'm going to watch this 2 times, or he said something to that effect. I do want to say there's a gentleman on Twitter, Gordon Bombay Sports, who, Coach, referenced you and I specifically. Patrick, you weren't on this particular show, where he won $20,000 in DFS on one lineup. Yeah. Because he listened to our show, but he mentioned that he listened to it over and over again, and we were repping along with Steve Scott, Corey Connors in that lineup, and that was at the PGA Championship. Anyway, long story short, really good stuff from him. But if you want to watch this show twice, more power to you. Tyrrell Hatton, if you've watched this show at all, you know that this entire squad here, me, Patrick, and Coach, we've been on Tyrrell Hatton, and I think he's ready to win. I mean, this is going to be a tough one to win with all the people at the top. But at 9,300, I do think you're getting a deal on Tyrrell Hatton. All the metrics pop: weighted tee to green, weighted approach, accuracy, distance, weighted around the green. He's got it all. So give me Tyrrell Hatton at 9,300. Corey Connors, speaking of the PGA Championship, we were all over Corey Connors, and he was about 7 or 8% owned. He's going to get some more popularity here because I guess the secret is out. But 8,300 is a very good deal. Even if he's chalky, it depends how much ownership he gets, but just keep in mind everything's rating out really well for Corey Connors, and he's starting to splash with the finishes as well. I went down the board a little bit just because I think there are some 6K guys that are going to be relevant here. I went with Kevin Streelman, I believe, last week in that 6K range. It worked out really well. I like Streelman again this week, but I'm going to go with Austin Eckroat because I love the upside. Everything seems to be clicking with Austin Eckroat. He's a young guy. The sample size isn't very big, but at 6,600, I think he has the type of upside to get you there in your DFS tournament lineups. And then my fade, it's going to be Rory McIlroy. I see Patrick is on the same thing. Sorry for the lack of diversity, but at 10,600, all we're doing here, and Patrick can speak for himself, is just bold-facing the fact that 10,600, it's just not worth the price unless you're exclusively using this as ownership leverage. And I wouldn't do that at the top of the board. So I'm fading Rory McIlroy.
And I think that's a really good point that you make. And people need to understand that the sports books are still trying to figure out these designated events when all the top players show up. I don't think they found their comfort zone yet. I really don't. And DFS either. they haven't found their comfort zone. Just way too high priced for a guy like Rory McIlroy who doesn't have good form right now. Way too high. Patrick, talk to me.
Yeah, so I'll start it off with my fade, Rory, as well. And really, he's just looking for something in his golf swing. This is the most inaccurate he has been off the tee in his career. And he's been around for a very long time. He doesn't know which way the ball is going off the tee. You heard him talk about at the PGA that Tiger even texted him that something's going on with his swing. So at this price where you could buy into Rahm's history here and current form, or Scottie Scheffler's current form, Rory's the easy kind of omission from that big three. That's really a big two now. But if you want to save some money to buy up for those guys, I love Russell Henley this week at $7,900. If you look at the last 3 months, he's 9th in total strokes gained in this field. He's proven to be up to the task in these bigger fields. He played well at the Masters. He has 5 top 20 finishes in his last 6 starts. Number 1 in driving accuracy. Jack loves to grow the rough out. He loves to make it difficult on these guys. You have to play from the fairway. Russell Henley is always in the middle of the fairway. And another guy who's accurate off the tee, Matt Kuchar, a past winner here at 7,500. Last 3 months, he's 19th in total strokes gained, number 1 around the greens, and his iron play is slowly but surely trending in that right direction. Not only does he have that win, but in 15 appearances, he only has 1 missed cut. So he's, a proven commodity around these parts. I like his chances to get into the weekend. And then Andrew Putnam, 6,400. Bit of a flyer, see us play on Eckroad. If you're looking to save a bunch of money, there are some nice 6K prices, I think. And Putnam's one of them. Last 3 months, he's 20th in approach and 8th in putting, top 20 in driving accuracy. That's kind of the bread and butter around this course. Put in the fairway, have a good iron play, and see what you can do on the green. So I like Putnam at 6,400 and taking a chance on him.
Now, this is where you can really start to make some hay, because there's guys like Andrew Putnam that compete well against the top players, but you're getting him in the 6,000 range. Absolutely love that. Sox Nation 35. Clearly, you are new to the Early Wedge. First of all, welcome. He says, no DFS for Coach. We don't force anything here. If we don't feel comfortable, we just don't do it. And I don't do DFS, so why would I give out DFS plays? That's how we do things differently. We do what we feel comfortable and give you the best that we have. Now, gentlemen, before we get to our first round leaders, we've had some developments in the baby shower gate.
Ooh.
So apparently it's Zach's girlfriend's sister that's having the baby shower, and Zach is not going, but his girlfriend, they were supposed to go together to the tournament. So she can't go. He says, I won't go without her. Zach,
what are we
in so many different ways?
What are we doing, Zach?
Zach, so you're gonna stay home and watch it on CBS Synergy, and then your girlfriend's gonna be at a baby shower sending you little pics about little baby outfits, and you're gonna be going, "What did I do? Why didn't I listen to the coach and counselor Patrick McDonald?" You can still, phones work at the golf tournament. They work. You can still get the same pictures. Zach,
take some pictures of the TV on Saturday and then send them to her while you're at the course on Sunday, type of deal.
That's what I'm talking about. That's what now, and they're not even married yet, and he's still having to do this. Zach, come on, pal. You got work to do. Now, our next segment is something that we feel very, very confident in, and it is something for those of you degenerates out there that need that first day satisfaction. We got you covered. It's a little first round leader. Now, Nejad, this is your bread and butter. However, I'm going to make you wait, because, Patrick, you have one name, and one name only, that you think could be at the top of the leaderboard on Thursday night. Talk to me.
Yeah, just one name for me, like you said, Coach, and it's Russell Henley. Again, I think he's in for a big week. Accurate off the tee, really hot with the irons, can put the lights out of the ball. 55-1. I didn't love a lot of the prices. I think it could go to one of the big names at the top. So just a little cautious this week for me.
Very cautious. All right. Now, Ambrose says, first time watching Early Wedge. I know nothing about golfers. Don't even worry about it, Ambrose. We had EC as a capper on the show last week. He knows nothing about golfers either. So same. Counselor, you're up.
Ambrose, welcome to the show. So first round leaders, let's start with Jon Rahm. This is one of those things we like to do. Listen, I'm not taking Jon Rahm at the super short price at plus 700 or plus 750, wherever you can get it. I'd rather wait for a live play on one of those top three. The top three, of course, being Scheffler, Rahm, and Patrick Cantlay. I'm going here with Jon Rahm at plus 1,800 because we know he can absolutely destroy this course. He should have 2 first-place finishes. Obviously, there was 2 years ago he had the COVID issue and he had to duck out 6 strokes up in round 4. But Jon Rahm, when you look at the metrics here, he does it everywhere with the putter, with the ball striking, even more so than Patrick Cantlay and Scottie Scheffler, at least historically. So I think 18-1 for round one makes plenty of sense. Then I'm going to go to Siwoo Kim. I'm kind of jumping on the Patrick McDonald bandwagon here. Siwoo Kim not only is very comfortable here, his finishes here have been very good, all in the top 20 over the last 3 Memorials, but the metrics are really speaking to me too. And I think this number at 50-1 is a little long, so I think there's value there. Cam Davis, a guy who burned a lot of people last week because he missed the cut and there were high expectations for him. He's one of those guys. Historically, he hasn't been very good at the Memorial, but he's one of those guys, especially for one round, that can really, really flash. So I really like him just from he can get hot with the short game and the ball striking standpoint. 70-1, a very generous number. And Harris English, plus 7,500, 75-1. This guy has been red hot over the last few tournaments. I know that's a small sample size, but we know the Harris English of old. We know he was injured, and we know that he's pretty much back at this point. He's gained ball striking 3 tournaments in a row, like I said, and he's finished 12th and 3rd place. Now, can he close on Sunday is the question. Well, we don't have to ask that question with the first round leaders because all we need to do is have him play really hot for 18 holes. Really like Harris English, and the short game is really speaking to me with him as well.
It's really funny because if you really did the homework like my guys do, and like I do too, you will find certain guys that for whatever reason, they love to start off hot. When they do, they play well. When they don't, they never come back. C was one of those guys. Harris English is one of those guys. I don't know why it is, but if they don't have a good Thursday, usually they don't even compete. Then there's other dudes who love to be 9 back after the first day and then just steadily get that back. Gentlemen, thank you very, very much. Now, if you watch this every single week, there's many of you that do. You know the bread and butter where you're going to make the majority of your money because you got to limit the finish sheets. You got to limit the winning. It's head-to-head matchups. Now, all you got to do is beat one person. One person. That's it. So, Patrick, I'm going to start. He froze for a second. He looked so funny. All right. What head-to-heads do you like this week? And I have a feeling, it's just a gut feeling, that we may disagree. You're up, big boy.
Oh gosh, we're doing this dance again, Coach. But I have an inkling I know which one it is, so I'll leave that one for last. So I'll kick it off with Colin Morikawa minus 110 over Justin Thomas. These two met in a playoff at this course a few years ago at the Workday Charity Open the week before the Memorial during the COVID year, and both of these players are having a tough year. Even they would admit. Bit disappointing. Neither have won, but I like Morikawa's statistical profile a bit more. He's still very accurate off the tee. The iron play is still very good. He ranks 3rd in strokes gained approach over the last 3 months. Meanwhile, Justin Thomas, wild off the tee. His iron play has regressed quite a lot. It's nowhere near the historical norms that it has been. It'd be his worst iron season of his career if it ended today. So give me Morikawa minus 110 over JT. Siwoo Kim, I'm on the train again every single week. There's been a lot of bumps in the road, but you just got to ride it with Siwoo Kim, and minus 110 over Wyndham Clark. Like I said, you got to put the ball in the fairway. Siwoo Kim's one of the most accurate drivers on the PGA Tour. Wyndham Clark has a way of spraying it. So give me Siwoo, who's coming in with 3 straight top 20 finishes at this tournament over Wyndham Clark. Russell Henley over Corey Connors. They're 2 pretty similar players. I'd give the edge in the short game department to Henley, and so give me him at even money over the Canadian. And then finally, Scottie Scheffler, world numero uno, over Jon Rahm, minus 130. Scottie Scheffler should not be priced minus 130 against anyone. I don't care if it's against Michael Jordan in a layup line. I don't care at this point. Scottie Scheffler is the best player in the world. Ball striking wise, he's doing stuff we haven't seen since Tiger Woods. If the putter comes around, fantastic. He's going to boat race this field. If it doesn't, fine. He's still going to finish top 10. So give me Scottie Scheffler minus 130 over Jon Rahm. He's been a cash cow for me, this matchup in particular.
You had to throw that last line in there, didn't you?
Yeah.
Oh, you just had to throw that last line in there, didn't you? Man, you're such a savage. You're such a savage. First and foremost, Daniel says this is the segment that I'm here for. And I'm sure Daniel means that for a lot of different reasons, because this is where it starts to get very, very personal. Very personal. Jon Rahm dominates at this place, and he has been slipping the last month or two, which means he is so overdue. Counselor, dare I go to the
I think you should. I think it's time to get that showdown cash back. Now I'm going to stay out of it because don't forget, I lost that same showdown to Patrick a couple weeks back. I'm going to sit this one out, but you're the one that has the matchup up there. I don't think you have much of a choice, if I'm being honest.
Very smart, Sia. Very smart.
Snake, let's do this.
It's gonna be a showdown.
I gotta be honest. All I can think about is hitting that Venmo on Thursday afternoon. I've never been so humiliated in my life. And I'm going back to it again. John Rahm, show up this year. Show up. All right, I'll quickly go through mine. Hideki over Sam Burns. Well, I'm following Sia from a week ago. What did you say last week about Sam Burns?
Well, I mean, I said a lot of things about Sam Burns, but I believe what I don't know what you're referring to, but he can pop. He can win a tournament. I mean, what'd you say about a matchup, though?
You said he was kind of hemming and egging his way around his score. And at this tournament, at this golf course, you can't ham and egg it.
That's true.
Patrick said he got to hit in the middle of the fairway. He was not doing that last week. Not even close. Hideki loves this place. So I'm going to take Hideki minus 110 over Sam Burns. I'm going to take Wyndham Clark over Siwoo Kim only because of recent form. Wyndham Clark won just a few weeks ago, and I like him over Siwoo Kim this week.
Uh-oh.
I'm not doing two. I'm not doing two. I kind of forgot about that one. And then I love Victor Hovland. Last 2 weeks, he's been in contention. PGA Championship, and then also at the Colonial. So I like him to stay that way. Rory hasn't. And then John Rahm over Scottie Scheffler. So there you go. No, I'm not doing two. Don't even dare write it in the chat.
Well, Coach, you realize that Patrick's not the only one with Siwoo Kim over Wyndham Clark, right? I wasn't sure.
All right. I need you guys to let me know if you think I should challenge both. Not one, but both to a showdown. Simply write showdown into the chat. If I see at least 10 people, at least 10, write showdown in the chat, then I will do it. So we have until Sia does his matchups to decide that. Sia, floor is yours.
All right. Well, let's start with Patrick Cantlay minus 130 over Xander Schauffele. By the way, all of these you can find at DraftKings among some other places. But Cantlay, listen, when you look at the finish, first of all, if you look at the tee to green metrics and you look at the weighted approach and all the things that I'm looking for around the green, Patrick Cantlay kind of dominates this matchup, at least in a way. Like, he's been better than Xander Schauffele. But what I'm really concentrating on here is the finishing positions too. Cantlay has been absolutely dominant here with a couple first place finishes, a couple top five finishes, and then an outlier 32nd. Whereas Xander Schauffele, he plays well here, but he's usually between like 15th and 20th. So I just think there's a chasm between these two guys from a historical standpoint, but also from a tee to green, or strokes gained metric standpoint. So Cantlay minus 130, I think there's value there. I'm going to skip this next one, and I'm going to go right to Harris English minus 120 over JJ Spaun. I've already sung Harris English's praises. I think JJ Spaun is getting some respect in the market, but I don't think he's playing nearly the same as Harris English. So I love the value here at minus 120. Tyrrell Hatton minus 130 over Jason Day. This is one of those where Tyrrell Hatton, literally every single metric I'm looking for, weighted tee to green, weighted approach, around the green, putter, you name it, Tyrrell Hatton checks the box in a very big way. He's at the top of most of those lists, and Jason Day has been good, but he just doesn't rate out nearly as well as Tyrrell Hatton, in spite of the fact that this is his home course. So give me Tyrrell Hatton minus 130 over Jason Day. And then finally, of course, Siwoo Kim minus 110 over Wyndham Clark. I just don't think, and I think Patrick probably addressed this, just don't think this is the course for Wyndham Clark. If you watch this show every single Tuesday at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, you know I have been a Wyndham Clark truther all the way to the pay window, plus 7,500 just 3 weeks ago. But this particular tournament, I think Wyndham Clark's going to find a little bit more trouble than Siwoo Kim off the tee in particular. I love Siwoo Kim's record here at the Memorial. So give me Siwoo Kim minus 110 over Wyndham Clark. What do you think of that last one, Coach?
I know that apparently we have some kindergartners in the chat. I know that. I said, write showdown if you want me to do that. Scott writes challenge both. Do it. Times 2. Everybody else followed the instructions. Daniel says, depends if you want to lose $100 or 2.
Ouch.
That one.
It actually be 300. 2 to me, 100 to see you. But whatever. I digress.
They were referring to the one showdown for Siwoo Kim, not both.
Okay.
Although I do respect it. All right. Snake, let's go. Let's go.
It's gonna be a showdown.
My daughter's going to be in college in 3 years. 3 years. That's all right. This is like her lunch money anyway. It's like her lunch money. Sorry, sweetheart. There'll be no McDonald's for you this week. All right. Before we get to our next segment, you guys know I got to pay those pesky little bills. Here's a word from one of our incredible partners.
Get breaking news,
Big news coming out of the NFL today.
highlights, and instant reaction.
The largest final round comeback in tour championship history. We're down to the final four.
I just want to take time to analyze greatness.
Talk winners and losers with a guy who's already a big winner.
CBS Sports HQ. It's all sports all day long.
And I say partners because I basically feel like Early Edge, Early Wedge, and CBS Sports HQ, we're co-owners. I'll be hosting Wednesday night, tomorrow night, if you're watching live right now, at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We are destroying it on CBS Sports HQ. Now, we have arrived. How are these players going to finish this particular week? That is the question that we must face right here, right now. As Taylor says, I love Savage Patrick. Don't let the lettuce fool you. Don't let all the hair gel fool you. The man is a savage underneath those locks. Now, Patrick, normally you don't participate in this particular segment, but this week you are. Tell me why.
Yeah, just one play for me. I love Matt Kuchar, 3-1 for a top 20 finish. Just great history here, performing well. Kuchar, 3-1, top 20. The field's only 120 players, so smaller field than normal. So something to keep in mind.
That's a big, big, big time statement right there. There are 36 less players than a normal full field PGA Tour event. That's major. That is major. See ya. Talk to me.
Yeah, I had a hard time finding ones I loved here, but I'm glad I settled on 3. Last week, if you recall, I had 1 in the top 20 market and I had 3 in the top 40 market, all at plus money. By the way, those went 2 for 4. So you actually ended up winning money there. But of course, on my head-to-head matchups, you won some money too, 3 for 3. Just saying. I know we're not on that segment, but I got to pat myself on the back at least every 15 minutes on this show. Let's start with Tyrrell Hatton, plus 105, top 20. Listen, I've sung his praises. I really think he can contend here, and I honestly think a top 10 is in play. Top 40, Harris English, we talked about him. Austin Eckroat, we touched on him in the DFS part. At plus 190, I really like this. I mean, I think this is one of those guys in the top 40 market that could really, truly make a splash, and I love the number of plus 190.
Yeah, he played at Oklahoma State, and he was in the mix on Mother's Day. It was only 3 weeks ago that Austin Eckroat was right in the mix to win that golf tournament. He flew his mom in, or she drove in. It was the Byron Nelson. How do I know? I called it. Now, Zach says Patrick and Sniper going in on Coach today. Well, I've addressed it with Sniper, and I'd like to thank him and wish him well in his future endeavors. However, Patrick, has not been fired yet. Not until perhaps the end of the show. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I'm feeling froggy today. Here are my plays. I'll make them very, very quick. John Rahm dominates at this course at plus 180. It's the only number I could find to play him anywhere except head-to-heads. Xander, 4 of the top 5 times he has shown up at this event, it's a top 20. But his top 20 was like minus 165. You couldn't play it. So I'm going to bet that he finishes top 10 at plus 140. Then Sahith Theegala, he's starting to get his game going. The harder the course, the better he plays. Top 1, plus 190, top 20. JT, the reason I didn't play that head-to-head, Patrick, is because you remember during COVID, Justin won 1 week, Colin Morikawa won the next week, or reverse. Either way, they won back-to-back weeks on the same course. I just couldn't play that head-to-head. JT, my gut tells me this is a good week for him. But right now, as you said, he can't win. Then Denny McCarthy, he finished well here last year. Top 40 at plus money, I'll take it. This guy wants to be known more than just a great putter. Show me this week, Denny McCarthy. Show me. Top 40s, by the way, most of the time you can only get him at DK, but shop around. I wish I could play DK out here. I love the top 40 market. Love the top 40. All right. It is that time. We have picked more than one winner this year, and it feels so good because it is so hard to do. And I mean hard to do. But we're going to give it our best shot. See it. Let's start with you this time.
I only have 3 outrights here. And again, it's because there's so much win equity locked up in the top 3 guys with, of course, Cantlay, Rahm, and Scheffler that it was just really hard to find value. So I do think a live bet is in play, something I might, flash out there on a Thursday night Twitter or on the Early Edge for day 2 at 10 in the morning. So just something to consider there. If one of those 3 in particular fall back a little bit, maybe there's a live play involved there. But give me Tyrrell Hatton plus 3,000, Jordan Spieth at plus 4,000. I think he's really interesting. First of all, from a DFS standpoint, he's picking up some popularity. I'm not 100% sure I'm all in on DFS, but one thing I'm all in on is that, well, first of all, the last 3 tournaments, he's been excellent with the ball striking. It's been the short game that has really held him up. Now, we go to the Memorial, and we know he's had really, really good results here, which shouldn't really surprise anyone. But what's really interesting is Jordan Spieth's recent struggles have been around the green and with the putter. And we're talking about major struggles over the last few tournaments where the ball striking has been good, the short game has been bad. If you go back and look at his track record at the Memorial, he is gaining ridiculous amounts of shots around the green and with the putter at Muirfield, the Memorial. So I really think in terms of a rebound short game wise for Jordan Spieth, this is the place you would want to have him. He's literally over the last 4 years gained short game every single time in hugely significant ways. 4 strokes, 7 strokes, 10 strokes, 3 strokes. It's just a really good time for Jordan to rebound with the short game. So I like that. And then, of course, our guy Siwoo Kim, and Coach brought up the Byron Nelson. Well, Siwoo Kim finished second at the Byron Nelson where Eckroat was competing as well. So give me plus 6,000 there.
Scott's asking about your boy, Christian B, top 40 plus 115. What do you think, Sia?
I was literally on the fence. I was actually on a fence trying to decide if I wanted Christian Bezuidenhout to be in my top 40 or top 20. I actually like the play, and I'm not, and figuratively, I really was going to put him in there. I decided to drop him out. I like him a little bit in DFS. I do like him in the top 40 market, though.
Japan says, this show makes me 10 times smarter than I am. People at my book begging for picks. Interesting. We grow by the week. Tell all your friends we want everybody here. Daniel says, we're going to have a new Sia, perhaps a fence Sia. I don't know. Got a lot of Sias these days. A lot of Sias these days. All right. Now, so I get the 3. I don't even have to do mine because even though sometimes we're at odds and sometimes he's my number one nemesis, but you can't deny greatness. And that's what me and Patrick are. Greatness. So, Patrick, I'll let you take the explanations for Hatton and Morikawa, and then your third as well, sir.
Yeah, we'll kick it off. Morikawa 25-1, Hatton 30-1. And look, some of these guys, you see their names on our picks week after week after week. Sometimes you just got to ride that pony into the ground. And for us, it is Tyrrell Hatton, 100%. This guy is due to win. He got off to a poor start at the PGA Championship. Final 3 rounds were all under par. If it wasn't for his opening 9 holes, I think he was 7 over in his opening 9 holes. He would have been right there in the mix. This is a guy who loves long, difficult golf courses. He's playing like a top 7 player in the world at the moment, not being priced like one. So I'm going to give him 30-1. Love that play. And then Ricky Fowler is kind of in the same boat for me personally. I know Sia and Coach have gotten in the mix as well, but I know 40-1 in a designated event seems steep, and it kind of is, but he's playing like a top 20 player in the world. And since 2017, he has 5 top 25 finishes here. Every part of his game's working at the moment. It's really just if he finds a way to get into the mix heading into the weekend, I like his staying power on the leaderboard.
What did he pass, like 20 dudes on Sunday with his 3 under, like 20, 25 guys? It was a lot. It was a lot.
Yep.
Top 10, top 15. He's trending. He's trending in the right direction. By the way, Taylor says, I thought Cheesy was your number one nemesis, Coach. Taylor, you need to understand, with somebody at my level, and I say that all the time, hashtag levels, I did SportsCenter for 10 years. I was in 2 Royal Rumbles. I covered 16 WrestleManias. You think Big Cheesy is on my level? Stop it. Just stop it.
Wow. And, you know, I worked for the State Department for a few months too. So I got, Coach, I'm coming for you.
Let's hear from another one of our incredible partners.
All eyes are on Italy
Absolutely astonishing.
as the race to qualify for Europe
Huge moment.
all comes down to the final match day.
It's a goal.
Stream every pivotal Serie A match live on Paramount Plus.
Daniel says, hold on, Coach was in wrestling?
Oh, boy.
It was a minute ago. It was a minute ago. Don't worry. When you see EC, if you're watching this live in 25 minutes, he's got my action figure right on his shelf behind him, Patrick. True story. He bought it off of eBay. He bought my action figure. One of the many. All right. It was a long shot that he would find an old action figure of mine, but not as long as some of the odds we're about to bring you right here and right now. Anything could be in this category. Could be a really high winning number. Could be a finishing position, whatever it is. We put all the potpourri into this segment. So as I look at my notes, Patrick, you have one play, and I've really started to like this play. And I played Michael Block last week. Oh, coach, way to go, minus 200. Did I cash? I believe
immediately.
Immediately. Oh, yeah. I mean, 4 holes in, I was standing at the pay window like this. Just pay me. All right, Patrick, talk to me.
I can't believe that opened around like minus 200. I had to refinance my mortgage and everything. I couldn't believe it. Could not believe it. And it was like the most bet on to make the cut, America's sweetheart. It's like, oh gosh, come on, people. You're not watching the early wedge.
Clearly not.
Come on.
Let's get it together. But I'm a glass half empty type of guy. So I love these missed cuts, and Taylor Montgomery's been a guy I've been picking on. You think about quarterbacks in the NFL, picking on a rookie cornerback. That's kind of what I'm doing with Montgomery, just going after him in every instance. So like I said, it is a smaller field. Top 65 and ties make it to the weekend. So that's why you're getting plus 137 on this. But in the last 6 designated events, he's missed 4 of the cuts. The ball striking is atrocious. He's outside the top 100 in this field the last 3 months, both off the tee and on approach. This isn't a place you can fake it around and make a lot of 20-footers for par and expect to make it to the weekend. So Montgomery to miss a cut at plus 137.
Yeah, it seems like a long time ago, doesn't it, Patrick, that he was showing up every single week? Long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Ebbs and flows, ebbs and flows. By the way, Taylor says, Coach, we need more WWE stories. I've missed them. No, I don't remember who ruined it, but somebody on the morning show says, oh, here we go again. Coach with another WWE story since that day. I said no more. You can't complain about me giving and then complain when I give. And I can take it back. Now, I've got one player I want you to keep your eye on. I talked about Sahith Theegala a little bit, I believe, in a head-to-head matchup. But look at his numbers. You want to find somebody with pretty good numbers this week for a guy that, like Hatton, I think Theegala is wired for harder golf courses. I really, really do. So if you want to bet on him to win, he's plus 5,000. So $100 will win you $5,000. Top 10, I like that number. Top 5, I like that number even more. Do I think he's going to be a top 5 player? I don't know, but I know he's good enough, and I know these are only numbers that you can play, so maybe a little sprinkle is worth it. See you, Nejad. Counselor, talk to me.
Yeah, I want to touch on Theegala just real quick because he's got pretty good history here as well, and I think he's a very sneaky DFS play, along with one of your other plays, Coach, Denny McCarthy. I think both of those guys aren't going to have a lot of ownership in DFS, and I think they're both very sneaky. Also sneaky in the first-round leader market. Now, if you recall, I had 4 first-round leaders. Well, I'm going to give you 2 triple-digit long shots. Austin Eckroat at 110-1 and Akshay Bhatia at 110-1. He's not a guy we've addressed yet, but I don't think he can last for 4 rounds, if I'm being honest. But for 1 round, Bhatia has a lot. He has the length and he has the accuracy. He does have some short game issues, but again, for 1 round, I can forgive short game issues because anybody can get hot with the short game for 18 holes. So give me Akshay Bhatia. I think he's a sneaky DFS play as well. And then I only had 3 outrights, 3 tournament outrights. So I'm going to add 2 more here. Again, in the triple digit department, Cam Davis, we've addressed him. 100-1 is a very long number on a guy that's won on the PGA Tour before and got hot recently. Speaking of hot recently, Harris English. Listen, I know he didn't close last week, and I know we haven't seen him close in a long time, but he is playing really good golf. And 130-1, it speaks to me in a very big way. So I'll go ahead and sprinkle a little bit on Cam Davis and Harris English to win this whole thing.
This is where it really starts to – you get irritated when you get close. I was there when Harris English had that – what was a 9-hole playoff over Kramer Hickok? Wasn't it 9 holes, 8 holes?
8 holes, I think, yeah.
8 holes. 8 holes. Oh, it was like dark. We were there for an extra 3 hours. Harris, get it done this week for Sia. Wait, no. Don't get it done for Sia. Then that means my plays wouldn't come through. All right. You guys have been amazing over in the chat this week, as you always are. And don't forget, we'll be live at the top of the hour with Early Edge and 5. I encourage you to go to that show, and you can insult EC as much as you want. You have my permission. Do it just like you do here. And I will be bringing a couple of those to the Early Edge and 5. I promise you. So thank you for the material. You guys know we like to end every one of our shows asking my guys, what's the number one most important thing that they're looking forward to at this week's event? See ya. Let's start with you.
I'm looking forward to somebody crashing the Scottie Scheffler and John Rahm party, if I'm being honest. And I do think there is room for some of these other guys to make a name for themselves, not just the Patrick Cantlays who are also at the top, but I do think guys further down the board, Tyrrell Hatton is one of them. Jordan Spieth is another one. Guys who haven't won yet this year, but I think are good enough to win if things break their way. And so I honestly kind of hope it's not a John Rahm, Scottie Scheffler down the stretch Sunday, because I've seen that before. It's very interesting, but I want to see something even more compelling. Give me a couple additional names.
Great point. Patrick, what say you?
Pretty similar lines for me, Coach. And it's really, can some of these guys enhance their weak points lately, like Scottie Scheffler with his putter, Rory McIlroy with his driver, Justin Thomas in his iron play. So this is, like I said, the last chance for these guys to kind of hone in on that before the U.S. Open. Rory's obviously going to defend next week in Canada, but outside him, it's really, can these guys put the finishing pieces on a well-rounded game? And I think this is a great test for it.
And I'm looking forward to, gentlemen, just exactly how certain players that we have our eyes on every single week are going to put together their schedules moving forward. We heard Jordan Spieth recently say, hey, next year, I've really got to sit down and look at how I'm laying out my schedule because I'm exhausted. But then last week at the Byron Nelson, he said, hey, Michael Block has proven that we need to understand we play golf for a living, and we need to be very, very grateful for that. So how are these players going to put together their schedule so they don't get exhausted? They can maximize their FedEx Cup points. And when it comes to the end of the regular season, the higher you finish, the more important it is. And this year, only the top 70 will make it into the playoffs. Everything has changed, but we've got you right here. So with all that being said, once again, Counselor and Patrick killing it, as they always do. But there's only one thing left to do. And I believe you all know what that is. You've got your marching orders. Let's take all of these early wedge tickets, except for Scheffler over Rahm, except for Siwoo Kim over Wyndham Clark, to the pay window for my entire crew. Love ball, Counselor, Patrick, the snake, always doing the work behind the scenes. I am simply the coach, trying to keep this train on said track. We grind for you so we can win with you. It's what we're all about right here at the Early Wedge. Good luck.